Adaora's knees hurt against the clay floor of the shrine as her mother performed another ritual she hated. Her mother was the high priestess of Umunze village, keeper of the water deity Osimiri, and the most powerful woman anyone knew. When her mother walked through the market, conversations stopped. When she spoke, even the oldest men listened. And when she performed rituals, the whole village held its breath. Adaora was supposed to inherit all of it. The shrine with its perpetual smell of incense and palm wine. The respects that felt more like surveillance. The endless procession of people with problems only the priestess could solve. 22 years of her life, and her future had been decided before she could even crawl. The worst part? Everyone acted like she should be grateful. But she doesn't want any of it. Her mother circled her now, the ancient calabash steady in her hands. She plucked bitter leaves from the water and flicked them across Adaora's face, her shoulders, her hair. Cold droplets ran down Adaora's spine. Behind them, 12 women from the village sang in voices that seemed to shake the walls. This was the only routine rituals she agreed to do with her mother just to make her happy. Adaora kept her eyes fixed on a crack in the wall and thought about algorithms. Specifically, she thought about the C++ assignment she'd been working on before her mother had summoned her here. She thought about the online courses she'd been taking in secret for 2 years. She thought about Boolean logic and functions and loops, things that made sense, things that followed rules you could understand and predict. Not like this. Not like gods who chose you before you were born and didn't care what you wanted. Her mother's voice rose, calling to Osimiri in the old language. The women's singing intensified. Someone was crying. Probably Mama Ekene, who cried at everything. Adaora had been 4 years old the first time they brought her to this shrine. She remembered being terrified of the carved faces on the walls, the way shadows moved in the lamplight. Her mother had laughed and told her there was nothing to fear. This is your home, Ada. This has always been your home. Except it wasn't. It had never felt like home. It felt like a trap. She was 7 when the training began in earnest, learning prayers she didn't understand, memorizing rituals that seemed designed to consume all her time, sitting still for hours while her mother explained which leaves cured fevers, which roots stopped bleeding, which words called rain. At 12, the dreams started, vivid, invasive things, rivers that spoke with human voices, a woman made of water who called Adaora's name. She would wake up gasping, her sheets soaked with sweat, feeling like something had reached inside her chest and squeezed. Her mother said it was Osimiri, claiming what belonged to her. Adaora said it was stress and started sleeping with her light on. At 15, she realized the truth. If she stayed in Umunze, this life would eat her alive. She would become her mother, then her daughter would become her. An endless chain of women, serving a deity who gave them no choice. So she made a plan. It took almost 10 years of secret preparation. She taught herself to code using free online resources and a second-hand laptop she bought with money from tutoring the chief's children. She studied for the SAT using books she ordered to Ngozi's address. She wrote application essays late at night when her mother thought she was asleep. She applied to 43 universities in America, Canada, and the UK. 43 chances at freedom. Boston University said yes. Full scholarship. Computer science program. Dorm room in a building she'd already looked up on Google Maps. The acceptance letter lived in her pillowcase now, folded and unfolded so many times the creases had gone soft. She touched it every morning to make sure it was real, that she hadn't imagined it. 3 months. She just needed to survive 3 more months of this. Then she can escape the deity of Osimiri. Adaora dragged her suitcase through Lagos airport, and all she could think about was her mother's face 3 days ago. You cannot run from the gods, Adaora. Osimiri chose you before you drew breath. She will find you wherever you go. Her mother had said it calmly, like she was discussing the weather, not threatening her daughter's future. Adaora had smiled politely and continued packing. Guilt and manipulation, that was all it was. Her mother trying one last time to keep her trapped. Now, Walking toward the check-in counter, those words felt heavier than they should. She shook them off. She was leaving. Actually leaving. In a few hours, she would be in America, thousands of miles from Umunze and Osimiri, and destinies she never chose. The flight was 17 hours and she slept through most of it. Boston was overwhelming in the best way. Tall buildings, fast-moving people, lights everywhere. No one looked at her twice. She was nobody here, and that was exactly what she wanted. Her dorm room was small and plain. Her roommate Maya was a blonde girl from Connecticut who talked constantly and seemed genuinely excited to have an international roommate. Classes started. Adaura sat in huge lecture halls taking notes on computer science and calculus. The professors spoke fast and expected you to keep up. She loved it, the independence, the anonymity, the fact that no one here knew about priestesses or gods or villages or destiny. For 2 weeks, everything was perfect. Then the dreams came back. At first they were subtle, water, rivers, rain. She would wake up unsettled, but nothing more. Then they got worse. The woman made of water appeared every night now, reaching for her with dripping hands, calling her name. Adaura would wake up gasping, her sheets soaked. Maya asked if she was okay. Adaura said it was just stress. The dreams came every single night. She started sleeping less, afraid of what waited when she closed her eyes. Then things started happening during the day. She was in computer science lecture when Professor Chen's voice suddenly changed. It sounded exactly like her mother. Same tone, same cadence. Adaura looked up sharply, but he was still talking about code, still looking normal. She shook her head. Just tired, that was all. It happened again in calculus. The professor's voice shifting mid-sentence, becoming her mother's voice speaking Igbo. Adaura would blink, and it would be gone. She couldn't concentrate anymore. She would sit in class staring at her laptop, hearing voices that weren't there. Her grades started slipping. Professors sent concerned emails. Maya asked if she was okay. Adaura said she was fine. She wasn't fine. The water started acting strange. The shower wouldn't stop running. Water kept pouring and pouring until her bathroom flooded, rising to her ankles, her knees, her waist. She was drowning in her own dorm bathroom, gasping and clawing at the walls. Then she blinked and the water was gone. The shower was off. The floor was dry. When she filled a glass with water later, the water tasted like blood. Once, washing her hands in the bathroom, she looked up and saw the woman from her dreams, staring back at her instead of her own reflection. The woman made of water, with eyes dark and endless. Adaura jumped back in fear, her heart hammering. When she looked again, it was just her normal reflection. She stopped using mirrors. 1 month in, Adaura fell asleep in the library while studying. She dreamed she was drowning. Water filled her lungs, her nose, her eyes. The woman was there, holding her under, whispering, "You cannot run from what you are." Adaura woke up, choking. She was on the floor, soaking wet, water pooling around her like she'd been pulled from a lake. Students stared. Someone called for help. Only she was wet. Only she was drowning. She ran back to her dorm, shaking and soaked, and finally admitted what she'd been avoiding for weeks. Osimiri had followed her. Her mother had been right. She pulled out her phone with trembling hands and stared at her mother's contact. She hadn't called since arriving in Boston, hadn't wanted to hear, "I told you so." But now she had no choice. She pressed call. The phone rang once, twice. Then her mother's voice, calm and unsurprised. "Adaora, I've been waiting for you to call." The Lagos heat hit Adaora like a wall the moment she stepped off the plane. She had spent the last 2 weeks of November picking up every shift she could find. Library desk, babysitting professors' children, tutoring freshmen in coding. Her bank account crept slowly toward enough for a one-way ticket home. Winter break arrived, and on December 18th, she boarded a plane back to Nigeria. Now she stood in Murtala Mohammed International Airport with her single suitcase, watching families reunite around her. She had texted her mother the flight details. No long conversation, no explanations. Just, I'm coming home. I'm ready. The 7-hour bus ride to Umunze felt longer than the flight from Boston. Her mother was waiting at their compound entrance. They stood looking at each other for a long moment. Her mother looked older, thinner, new grey in her hair. You came. I didn't have a choice. Her mother's smile was sad. We never do. They walked to the compound in silence. The village looked exactly the same. Red earth roads, palm trees, the shrine sitting at the center like it had been waiting for her. That night, her mother prepared her in the shrine by lamplight. She ground herbs in the old mortar, while Adaura sat and watched. Tomorrow at dawn, you'll enter the spirit realm. I'll guide you to the threshold, but you face Osimiri alone. Her mother's hands moved efficiently, practiced. They'd done this dance for so many years. Adaura thought about asking if her mother had ever wanted to escape too, but she already knew the answer. She'd watched her mother's life. She'd seen what this cost. Her father had left when Adaura was 5. He'd loved her mother once, married her knowing she was the priestess, thought he could handle it. But the deity took everything, every moment, every choice, every part of the woman he had married, until nothing was left but the priestess. So he walked away, and her mother never blamed him. Adaura had spent her whole life watching her mother serve. People came at all hours and her mother had to answer. Rituals demanded precise timing regardless of exhaustion or illness. No friends, no personal life, no rest. Just endless service that everyone called an honor. She wouldn't let it happen to her. Dawn came cold and grey. Her mother led her to the sacred stream at the village edge. The water was dark and still, reflecting the purple sky. Her mother handed her a calabash of water mixed with herbs. Adaora drank without hesitating. It tasted like earth and metal and something ancient. When you enter the water, don't fight the pool. Let it take you down. The spirit realm exists at the bottom of all waters. Her mother's hand squeezed her shoulder once, brief and warm. Then let go. Adaora walked into the water, cold despite the morning heat. She waded deeper until the water reached her chin, took a deep breath, and let herself sink. Down, down, down. Her lungs burned, her instinct screamed to surface, but she kept sinking into darkness. Just when she thought she'd drown, the water changed, became lighter, clearer. She could breathe somehow, the water flowing through her lungs like air. She was in the spirit realm. The underwater world stretched endlessly. Massive rock formations rose from the depths, covered in glowing plants. Schools of fish that looked almost human swam past. Then she saw the monsters. They came from the darkness like nightmares giving form. One had the body of a crocodile, but 6 legs and a tail covered in spikes. Another was a giant serpent made entirely of water, reforming constantly as it moved. More emerged, circling her slowly at first, then faster. The crocodile thing lunged. Adaora dove sideways, barely avoiding jaws that snapped where her head had been. The serpent wrapped around her leg and pulled. She kicked hard, and it released her, but there were more, so many more. They attacked from all sides. She dodged desperately through the water. A creature with 12 arms grabbed her, pulling her toward grinding teeth. She clawed at its eyes, and it shrieked, releasing her. Her muscles screamed. She was going to die here. No. She had come too far. She stopped running. The monsters sensed weakness and circled closer. The crocodile thing charged, jaws wide. Adaura didn't move. She stared directly at it. I am not afraid of you. I reject Osimiri. I reject this destiny. You have no power over me unless I give it to you. Her voice carried through the water like thunder. The crocodile thing stopped inches from her face. The water around her began to glow. The monsters backed away, one by one, fading into darkness. Then the water itself began to move. Osimiri rose from the depths like a tidal wave giving consciousness. Massive, beautiful, terrifying. Made entirely of water but somehow solid. Her face was both young and ancient, her eyes deep as oceans. You have survived the first trial. Her voice was everywhere at once. But courage means nothing if you don't understand what you're choosing. The water shifted. Suddenly, Adaura stood in Umonze's market square, but it was withered. Crops had failed. Children sat listless with hunger. Women wept over empty pots. The stream had dried to a trickle. This is Umonze without a priestess. These people suffer. The scene shifted again. Now Adaura saw herself older, wearing priestess robes, hands over a sick child. As she prayed, the child's fever broke. The mother wept with gratitude. Another shift. Adaura the priestess calling rain during drought. The village dancing in the downpour, safe from starvation. Another shift. Adaura the priestess mediating disputes, bringing peace to warring families. You have power to heal, to save, to bring prosperity, Osimiri said. You could be the greatest priestess in generations. I chose you for a reason. Your mind is sharp. Your heart is strong. Is your personal freedom worth more than all the lives you could save? For a moment, Adaura wavered. Then she remembered her mother's face, the exhaustion, the loneliness, the way she'd aged too fast. Show them the rest. Show what it actually costs. The water rippled. Osimiri went still. Show what happened to my mother. The scene shifted. Adaura saw her mother young, newly married, laughing with her husband, happy, full of life. Then the rituals began. Late night calls, days in the shrine, her husband eating alone, again and again and again. She saw her father's face change over years, love turning to frustration, frustration to resentment, resentment to resignation. She saw the night he left, her mother in the doorway holding 5-year-old Adaura, watching him walk away. Her mother didn't cry. She turned back to the shrine because someone needed healing and the priestess couldn't refuse. She saw her mother aging alone. No friends because who could be friends with someone never available? No life outside the shrine. No choices. No rest. Just service. Endless, exhausting service. This is what you offer, Adaura said quietly. Not just power, a prison. Servitude dressed as honor. Yes, my mother helped people, but she lost herself, lost her husband, lost any chance at happiness. She gave everything and got nothing except more demands. Something flickered across Osimiri's ancient face, almost like respect. My father tried. He thought he could handle watching the woman he loved disappear into this. But she take everything and never stop taking. That's not service. That's slavery. It is purpose. Purpose chosen freely is beautiful. Purpose forced on you before you can speak is cruelty. I could help people as a priestess, yes, but I could also help as a computer scientist. Build programs that reach millions. Create solutions that last generations. Do good without sacrificing every part of myself. The water churned. You say you chose me for my sharp mind and strong heart. Then respect that mind enough to let me use it how I choose. Respect that heart enough to let me decide what it serves. Silence. Then Osimiri spoke, softer than before. You truly reject me, knowing the cost? What cost? If I release you, you can never return to Umunze. The village will be close to you forever, and you can never bear daughters. The line ends with you. These are my terms. Adaura didn't hesitate. I accept. You would give up your home, your mother, any daughters you might have? My home is wherever I choose it. My mother will understand, and I would never curse a daughter with this. Adaura met the deity's eyes steadily. I accept gladly. Osimiri looked at her for a long moment. Then the deity smiled, strange and ancient and knowing. You are the first in 12 generations to pass all 3 trials. The first to face me with truth instead of fear. You have earned your freedom, Adaura. The water began to glow brighter and brighter. But know this, a life truly lived on your own terms is rarer than any power I could give. Use it well. The light became blinding. Adaura surfaced in the stream, gasping. Her mother pulled her to shore. The sun was high overhead. Hours had passed. It's dawn. Adaura coughed up water. I'm free. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. She pulled Adaora into a fierce hug. I can never come back. I can never have daughters. Those were the terms. Her mother pulled back, studying her face. Are you happy? Adaora thought about it. Really thought. She would never see Umonze again. Never stand in this stream. Never eat her mother's cooking. Never walk these roads. That hurt. But she was free. Actually free. Her life was hers. Her choices were hers. Her future was blank pages she got to write. Yes, I'm happy. Her mother smiled through tears. Then it was worth everything. Secretly, she had always wished her daughter doesn't live like her. 3 days later, her mother walked her to the village edge, to the boundary she could no longer cross. One last hug. Then Adaora walked away from Umunze without looking back. The flight to Boston felt different. Lighter. Like flying towards something instead of running away. When she landed, winter air sharp and cold hit her face. She took the subway back to campus, walked into her dorm, found Maya wrapping Christmas presents. Maya looked up. Ada, you're back. You look different. What happened? Adaora dropped her bag and smiled genuinely for the first time in months. I'm free. That night she slept without dreams. No water, no voices, no woman reaching for her. Just peace. Deep and complete and utterly hers. Adaora missed her mother. She missed Umonze. She spoke to her regularly but sad she may never see her physically again.